Welcome to Mentor. I'm Marco Bertozzi.
And I'm Rachel Ford.
And we are the founders of TheZoo.London Consultant Collective and Executive Search.
And our podcast is all about sharing world-class wisdom from leaders who have been there and done it and are here to guide you. And as we like to say, insights that you won't find in a business book, but you can use in everyday life.
And I'm going to take a moment because this week we've had a number of people who have written in to say they're really enjoying almost like having a mentor in their ear. Isn't that nice?
Oh, mentor in my pocket.
Mentor in my pocket or ear?
Oh, I don't know either way.
Both. But
anyway, we love it. Thank you.
We enjoy it. Thank you. Do that because sometimes, you don't know how people are, really receiving the advice. Yeah. So it's good to hear.
And actually, we never say this at the beginning. I'm going to say it. Please do give us a follow. Give us a share.
Yes.
We do sound like desperate.
Rate,
call me.
Like share, like.
That's not a beggy thing, but actually, the people that do listen seem to really like the advice, and it's great to share that. And we've got a goodie coming up today, haven't we, Marco?
We have. We had Dame Annette King, DBE, who joined us for a lovely chat for a good hour, I think.
It seemed quite,
And as ever, amazing nuggets came out of that. I think we often talk about leaders managing their teams, but actually today we heard a bit more about some great advice about how to manage upwards.
Yeah, and how to make sure that you're not just giving your boss all the good news, but also bad news too, so they can actually help and shape that. What really struck me was, well, you'll hear it, Damien is incredibly passionate, incredibly determined, and agencies are won and lost on pitches, and her determination around winning BA back. So I think they'd lost it, but she said, as long as you've got a key card to the building, you've got a way into the account. And actually that was a orchestration of 3 years to win BA
I wouldn't
back.
want to be up agained.
No, I know. I wouldn't be either. I wouldn't be either.
We were pitching. And I think sort of connected to that, but she talked a lot about it's really important to try and go up the chain. I think we all know that in the advertising world, going up the chain to talk to the most senior people in the organisation of clients.
Senior clients. Yeah, the senior clients.
So, aim for the CEO. Careful what you wish for.
Well, before that,
let's have a word about our sponsors, shall we? And then we'll get them in. And so Viral Tribe, really, our journey has been one where we came into creating a podcast where we didn't have a clue, did we? Let's be honest.
We did not.
And Viral Tribe have been...
should we call them mentors?
Let's call them mentors.
Let's call them. They've been mentors. They've really shown us a way. They've been really supportive. They've helped us with creative ideas, obviously the production and promotion. And it's been, they've held our hand.
And we're part of a stable of some of the, biggest creators in the industry.
Yeah, so I think chart-topping shows and branded content.
We'll soon be there, right?
That's where, mentor, we're somewhere there. And today we're in Broadwick Street. There's also another state-of-the-art studio on Wardour Street. And really, from start to finish, they just make the whole process really, I suppose, smooth and stress-free, I'd say. Yeah,
and I think what do they say, the presidents? They say, we endorse this message. We 100% endorse Viral Tribe. So if you're thinking about creating a podcast and using the facilities, or indeed you're a client looking to work with them on branded content, then drop them a line at hello@viraltribe.co.uk and you're going to get 20% off the first 3 months if you use the word mentor.
I think first 3 bookings, but let's
see bookings.
First 3 months. But anyway, that sounds like an incredible deal. So thank you, Viral Tribe.
Today, we're joined by Dame Annette King, DBE, and as ever, we're going to read your intro because we hate to miss anything out. So a trailblazer in the advertising and marketing world whose 35-year career has spanned creative agencies, global networks, and consultancy transformation. Annette began her rise in the early 1990s at Wonderman before moving to New York for 4 years and then back to the UK, eventually serving as CEO of Ogilvy UK, followed by the big move to Publicis to be CEO of Publicis Group UK. More recently, she was global lead of the marketing practice at Accenture Song, overseeing a broad transformation of marketing, creative and technology fused together, before stepping back in 2025 to focus on board and non-exec roles. Annette is chair of Advertising Association and serves on the board of Channel 4. She's deeply invested in nurturing talent, promoting diversity and driving strategic change across the industry. With a combination of creative leadership, transformation expertise and boardroom influence, Annette King offers rare insights into how to lead in change, how to build meaningful brands and how to future-proof your career in marketing. We're delighted to welcome you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Annette, welcome.
It's always painful sitting there listening to
Sing about yourself.
Yeah. But no, you look amazing. You look amazing. Thank you so much for being here today. Because I know you're busier than ever. I
have made myself quite busy, busier than planned, perhaps. But it's sort of settling down.
Well, it's suiting you. You look brilliant.
Yeah, I enjoy it. Yeah.
And obviously, Marco's given you the intro. The first question we do ask, though, just to get the listeners in the mood and to understand a bit about where you've come from. I suppose career in 60 seconds is very challenging, and with what you've done, but maybe even try to, though, start from the beginning. I mean, how did you even get into advertising?
Well, that's a whole story in itself. But I spoke to someone in a pub who spoke to their friend who wrote me a letter with a phone number. And I rang the phone number and I got a job in a really tiny ad agency a couple of months after I graduated. It was really tough out there at the time. I know it's tough at the moment, but it was a different flavour of tough back then. So I started in a very tiny ad agency called Mighty Mouse. So
does it still exist?
No. Well, I think the form of it might. It sold and it did this, that and the other and renamed itself. So there may well be a team of people out there now who work for what used to be Mighty Mouse. But there was only about 15 of us. So it was, it was pretty hard work. But I learnt loads fast about clients, about writing briefs, about the work, about
Can we date
how
that?
to make
So
money.
what year
I started in late 91.
91. Okay.
And I did a couple of years there. And it was the sort of place where we laughed a lot, but we also had to pull all-nighters for certain campaigns and things that we'd taken on. It was on Oxford Street, so it was right in the heart of everything. And it was super fun, but also taught me that actually I wanted to work for a big company, not a little one. And so I learnt that very early on. And have always worked for bigger companies as time has gone by. And I think that's partly because I don't want to have to do the invoicing as well as manage the clients.
Tell us about it. Tell us about it. Oh, my God.
But also just the breadth of talent and the variety of people that you get to work with, the variety of things that you get to do. In my case, I was lucky. As I progressed, I got to be responsible for pretty much the full range of what we do in this industry. Yeah. And that doesn't happen in small companies. So the ecosystem needs small, and lots of people love working in small places, and that's great. It's just I learned really early on that it's
Do you
not
think
for
there's
me.
a way into the industry like that anymore?
I hope so.
We've interviewed so many people who have that kind of some variation.
I really hope so. There was no programme. There was no... There's a bloke called Philip. Hello, Philip Beeching, if you're listening. Yeah. He took the call after this guy sent me the letter because it was pre-email and all that. Yeah. And he invited me for an interview on the Wednesday, and I started on the Monday. Nowhere to live. I surfed for a month or two, and eventually went to
South
of London. Because that was where you lived, and you had no money. Well, starting out.
The fun days. It was the fun days. And when you think about, was the biggest move then you ever think you did was when you went from WPP to Publicis?
Well, I mean, they were all big in their own way. So going from Mighty Mouse to Wonderman, Wonderman was a big, thriving, privately owned at the time agency, and it was direct marketing. So it was a different, it's a different thread of what we do in the industry. So that was a big move. And then going within Wonderman to New York was a really big move. Yeah. I'd never been to New York.
Did you have family at the time?
No, I was single, very single. Oh, in fact, running away from a bad relationship at work.
Oh,
so
great.
So I cooked up.
The big apple, here I come.
I cooked up. What can I do that's productive out of this? I can ask if I could go to New York, and they said yes. And so off I went initially for a 6-month sort of learning experience. But me and New York got on really well, and we kept extending it. And in the end, it was like, just stay. So I did.
I've got to be honest, like you've lived in the States. I really regret not working and living
I'm
somewhere.
really glad I did.
That is one of my regrets.
King was a bit he was like, you've got, if you want to get
if anyone can, if there's an opportunity to do so, I really, really would. And it doesn't have to be for years and years and years.
Yeah.
For me, it was 4.5.
Perfect.
I sort of got to the point where, and New York was fantastic. It was amazing. Work and social. Yeah. But I got to the point where I sort of thought, okay, I either have to sort of double down and try and maybe buy an apartment and stay here.
Get some roots.
Or I need to go back now and use what I've learned and, to my advantage, career-wise. And I chose the latter.
So what was your move back from New York?
To Ogilvy 1.
Yeah.
Which was a big move in itself again. I'd been at Wonderman for 7 or 8 years in total by then. And I was hired to run the American Express business across Ogilvy. So I was an Ogilvy oneer, as in a direct marketing person, increasingly digital, because direct marketing embraced digital really early on, because it sort of made what we already did that much easier. It wasn't threatening, it was helpful. So to run American Express across all of the Ogilvy group, across Europe, Middle East and Africa. So it's quite a big step up at the time. So I came to do that. I did that for about 4 years, I think. And then had 8 different jobs while at Ogilvy over the 17 years.
Wow.
So it was the kind of place where, it was big enough and it was supportive enough and interested enough in people's careers that you could have that kind of progression if you, worked hard and performed.
And I think that's what you've always worked hard. Even you've worked so hard that even on maternity leave, you were made then the CEO of Ogilvy.
Twice. Well, yeah. So on my first child, who's now 19, I was made CEO while on mat leave. Yes, and Mike Dodds had done was that the first one? I'm getting mixed up between my mat leaves.
Well, 2008, I think, was when you
that was when my daughter was born. That's when I became CEO. Oh, yeah. No, in 2006, when I had my son, I got promoted to MD while I was on mat leave.
Yeah.
And came back to work with Mike Dodds, rest his soul, who was the CEO of Ogilvy 1.
Yeah.
A couple of years later, I had my daughter in 2008, and Mike resigned to go to Proximity to work for Scylla.
Yeah.
And I had happened to have popped in that day to interfere in a pitch that was for boobs, and I was just like, I've got to come and say my piece. And I got a call to say, Paul O'Donnell, the boss, wants to see you. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not even here. I'm on mat leave. I'm just playing around with this pitch. And they're like, yeah, he said you'd say that. He said he's now. So I went to see him, and he said, congratulations, you're the new CEO. And there was Mike's BlackBerry in the middle of his meeting table where he'd sort of left it as he left the building.
That's your BlackBerry now? Is that your BlackBerry?
Well, yeah, they've been talking for weeks and weeks, but this was the moment where Mike actually left the building. And so I had about another 6 weeks of mat leave, which I saw out.
You must have considered having more kids.
You're lucky.
No, lucky me on my way. Yeah.
Oh wow! Because I know we're not now on the screen. It's way more than 60 seconds because we're interrupting. But I do think it's really fascinating that, obviously you're so committed. It was everybody knew what you were going to say. They knew you'd be in the room, and you came in. But when you did then come back after your mat leave, it was 2008. I remember that time. It's when my youngest was born. I had an extended mat cover because Publicis at the time were offering unpaid sabbaticals, because just trying to find different ways to keep people.
Right. Yeah.
But you obviously, you drop in as CEO, and then you've got millions to find off the. That must have been tough.
It was very tough. So it was my first CEO gig, and I had to really become a CEO very quickly, because I think on my journey into work, my CFO, who I knew well, called me and said, right, we need to find, I can't remember the number, but it was some horrible, gigantic staff cost number. And so it was like, okay, right, I really got to grit this up. And it was a horrible experience, but possibly quite, we'd all rather it didn't happen, but I had to deal with it, and dealing with it helped me to get into my CEO groove.
Well, you had to lead.
Really quite quickly.
To lead, didn't you?
Yeah, and the way we approached what we had to do, we didn't mess around at the bottom. We started at the top, and we went that way, and we communicated very, very clearly. We happened to get the number right in the first tranche, so we didn't have to keep going. That was, I was very clear.
Just make just one cut, just
one horrible period, and then we move on. Somebody once taught me the expression, Jez Groom taught me the expression, you find the bottom, so you can't bounce until you find the bottom. So find the bottom as quickly as you can, because then you've got something to bounce from. And we did that. And we were thriving again. So that was, I think we did all that at the beginning of 2009. And I went back in November 2008, so we planned it and we did it after Christmas.
And I think what was, again, quite marked for me was that, yes, you had to make that very difficult decision and make it once, so then people aren't then second guessing what's going to happen next week or next month. And then
they can focus and they can get on with helping us thrive again.
Yeah, exactly. And I read that, you know, it was nobody from account director down. So, because again, we're client-led businesses. We don't want, and so I know you kind of started from the top, but what was really great, what I read was that you actually kept in touch with people.
We did.
You reported back monthly
on how they were doing.
And where they'd found jobs.
We did it in our monthly meetings.
Do you know what it's unfortunately, we're going through a torrid time at the moment, and whether we could do monthly reports and see where everybody's gone, but it's that keeping in touch, because at the end of the day, we're all humans. We see. It
made me feel better. It made everyone feel better. And obviously, it was reasonably helpful to the people that were out there who we obviously provided references and support and stuff for. But it really helped us to all feel more positive as time went by.
I think I remember earlier in my career, I joined a company for a period of time, and it was the same time. It was 2008 and 7-8, and we had to make a lot of redundancies. I remember sort of thinking, for the first time, it's a bit ironic, but going through that process of redundancies and taught me more about sort of people and treating people like people and not numbers than if that had never happened. So it was, as you say, awful time. No one wants to do it. But everyone had a story, everything, I sat in front of a lot of people and heard their story, and so it does make you grow up fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, I really became a CEO very quickly, quicker than I probably would have sort of grown into the role had I not had that crisis to deal with. The communications around what we did was really key as well. So we communicated very clearly, very honestly, and very frequently. And that kind of set the tone for how we then operated as a company, as we moved forward, making sure that everyone was super clear on what the plan was, how we were doing against the plan, reminder of what the plan is, because just because you know exactly what it is doesn't mean that everybody sort of
get everybody on the same
remembers
page.
Every detail of it. And so that was very much a feature of those years of...
and you did bounce back, didn't
we? We did bounce back quite quickly.
Year after year.
Yeah. For about 5 years, 3 years on the trot. I can't remember which years it was. But we had we called it the purple patch. And it was amazing. We cracked how to actually win new business. We'd not been very good at winning new business, which is probably the biggest learning I had in my whole career. And then we just kept doing it, and we thoroughly enjoyed it, and we won some amazing business, and the Agency of the Year accolades kept coming, and we celebrated them hard with the campaign lot, and as the years went by, our global leaders would fly over for the meeting, and so it got to the point where you win again, and these are the days where you had to get to the office early and run into the post room to find a copy of campaign because it was before any of it was online in the way, digital only like it is now, and sort of our post guy standing there holding it for me at 7 a.m. and me go, oh thank God, and then 5 minutes later starting to worry about, oh God, got to try and do it again next year.
Yeah.
No, stop and celebrate
enjoy
just for
it,
a couple of
enjoy
days.
it.
I feel like that's more than ever now. That it almost like that, even that moment of enjoying a pitch win seems to be shorter and shorter. I do, I did new business for a while at Zenith. It wasn't a purple patch.
It wasn't a purple
what's the
patch.
opposite?
It was the opposite of that.
I blame the strategist, but there was a time when you won something that it felt like you had a sort of a bit of time to enjoy the moment, whereas now it feels like, well, the calls are starting tomorrow.
No, I think it's all concertinaed a bit.
Which is quite hard, isn't it?
Yeah, we used to try. Well, no, we didn't try. We were very good at celebrating.
Yes.
Immediately. And then also celebrating with the clients we just won the business with. We had some epic parties with, the BAs and the like, where they would bring a cake in the shape of a plane. And, we would provide the drinks, and it was super fun and a really special time for me, and I hope all the people that were involved in that.
Sounds like the Mad Men days, doesn't it? Where a lot happened. Interesting though, and we're really out because we haven't even got to Publicis yet. But it's about celebrating the wins, but also I've heard you say actually when you don't. I mean, it's awful not to win, but when you don't win, give the team 24 hours.
To wallow.
So just wallow, lick your wounds, be sad, be angry, and then 24 hours we'll get back together and what did we learn from it and how we're going to win it next time.
Yeah.
And I remember you when you where did BA go from Ogilvy?
Well, there were many moments.
Yeah, you've had a few
but when it left completely, it went to BBH.
Right, but did you say if you've still got a key card to the offices, you've still got a way
Shelley
in?
Lazarus taught me that. Shelley at the time was the global CEO of Ogilvy and is a wonderful human being, and was a fantastic leader who is very wise. And when we lost, I was like, I need coping mechanisms because I loved that account more than anything I'd ever done. Slightly irrationally, but just it was my account and I'd worked on it multiple times in my career and I was responsible for losing it. I was in charge at the time.
You take that very personally.
I took it on, you can't just be in charge of the good stuff. Yeah. And so I'd heard this story from Shelley, or I'd heard this sort of folklore that Shelley years ago had been responsible for American Express, which she was, and that she'd lost the consumer business to, I think, TBWA or someone, and it was soul destroying, and she was broken, but she developed these kind of principles for what you do, and we still had the merchant business. We still had the merchant business, so we still had key cards. Anyway, I spoke to her for about 40 minutes, and I then created the 10 principles from the conversation that we had. I got the team together. I told them the bad news. And I said, but we are going to get it back. I think I picked this date because in the Amex story, there was about a 9-month window between losing it, TBWA, unfortunately, not doing very good work. Ogilvy doubled down on what they did and did some killer work.
Yeah.
The client rang and said, I'm terribly sorry. Could you come back?
Yeah.
So I was like, right, 9 months from today is whatever date it is. We're going to march to that. We're going to do this. We stayed in touch. We did an online newsletter. We did. We stayed socially in touch. We had a contact strategy wall. We did all of it. Yeah. Some people thought I was mad, but it didn't take 9 months. It took longer. I think it took 3 years. It took a procurement cycle. And then we won all of it back and all the media for WPP as well. So
that must have been a bit of a party.
It was the best day of my career. Yeah. My knees buckled when I got the call. God. Yeah.
But that's heart and soul. I mean, I can even still see it in your face now that there's a lot of emotion.
I could well up if I let myself.
I've got to say, I can't see that because it's
BA lot think I'm mental, as in the client.
We've had many guests that have cried in this.
But it is.
I'm not going to, but I could if I let myself.
But it is. It's so we put our heart and soul into the, and it's. But
it's the determination. Yeah. The team got behind it, and if you really, really, really believe, and you really, really go for it, and you've got the right people doing that with you, you can do anything. Yeah. Because that was not likely to happen, and then it did.
And actually, that reminds me of Bruce Daisley, who was last week. He talks about resilience is not something that we do in a singular. resilience is built as a team.
Yeah.
And it is that whole
feed off each
team.
other.
You feed off each other. You build that together. You got the good times and the bad times. There's a lot to be said for that. Anyway, so we're probably now on about 60 minutes of this second.
So
we're now
much for 60 seconds.
Ogilvy to WP. Well, Arthur. I think Arthur gave you a call.
Yeah. So I'd done my 17 years at Ogilvy. I'd been running the UK group for about 4 years. We just won BA back. We just won Boots through a WPP deal. Things were good. And I'd met Arthur a few years before in a different situation, and he texted me. He'd become the full-on CEO of Publicis Group, and I had at Ogilvy. They were very generous with paid sabbaticals. I don't know if they still are, but they were.
Yeah.
And I'd earned my 3-monther. And so I was on that in the summer of 17, which was amazing. But I had kind of started to think, 4 years, at 4 years, I get a bit like, what am I going to do next? Because if something is either in need of fixing or making perform better than it was, it takes about that long to really, really fix things. Get the right people in the right jobs, start to win, repeat the wins, be in some form of purple patch, and then what? So then I've always been a bit like, okay, what do I do next?
Yeah.
So I'd started thinking, what the Ogilvy thing, what next? And for one reason or another, it wasn't obvious to me what would be next. And Arthur happened to text in that sabbatical window.
Yeah.
So I was a bit like, I've got to go and see him because, I was having these thoughts. And then we met for breakfast and he said, UK group run the whole, I think it was 28 or 29 agencies. And I was a bit like, I didn't say yes on the spot because that would have been a bad negotiating tactic. He was like, say yes, say yes. I'm not.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Anyway, so I thought, I have to be honest with myself. If I don't go and do this, all those other types of agency, the media agencies that you've both worked at, the health business, the design agencies, the PR side of things. I had Ogilvy PR, but, Sapient sitting there, kind of not fully under my remit, but right there being, a very unique set of capabilities that other agency groups didn't have. If I don't go and do this, I need to confess to myself that I'm never leaving and I'm never going to go and do anything else. And so I did.
And that was the first iteration of Power of One, wasn't it?
Yeah, they'd already come up with Power of One, I think, a bit before, as a sort of...
But by having having a country leader was the first, from a P&L point of view.
It was the first time they'd done that. Yeah. So there was no structure around that, which he'd been very clear about there wasn't. And a lot of the agencies were needing to perform better. And there was very little you were there, little cross-group collaboration. I'm not sure many people knew and worked with people in other agencies in the group, even in the same fields.
Working on this, working on the same account.
I used to have a sort of working Vivica used to just sit there and just see how everyone fought against each other. That was just the media agencies.
I think it was a P&L. I think it was like everybody was like thrown together because I was working on P&G at the time. Well, you all work on P&G, but then you've got Digitas doing some digital assets, Leo's doing other assets, and all kind of eating each other's breakfast. It took the P&L to bring that together. And look, let's face it, incredibly successful. I mean, Power of One now. I mean, Publicis Group. I mean, Arthur, if you're listening, well done.
Give yourself a pat on the back. I mean, it was hard work those first couple of years, but with a great team. There were some great people already there. We brought some great people from other places. 1 or 2 people from Ogilvy. Not. I didn't just.
You didn't want to raid
Ogilvy
it,
and bring all the people I knew were good. Gradually, some did come.
Yeah.
But it was about trying to change the culture, trying to have a group culture. My thing was always, if people could be really proud of the agency they work for, or the P&G team, or whatever it is, the group, the entity that they work for, but also pleased that they're part of Publicis Group, then we're on to a winner. Yeah. Like aware of being part of Publicis Group.
It's an and, isn't it, rather than a...
Yeah, exactly. It's not, you can belong to both and you can benefit from being in both. So if we can help the agencies be as match fit as they possibly can, and we can help the group to be an appealing place to work, genuinely appealing, with the right set of, policies, support systems, opinions in the marketplace, better at attracting the best talent, all of those, a new business, obviously, key, winning awards, all the stuff that, the tangible measures. And perhaps have a little bit more fun, and also get people enjoying knowing each other. Yeah. So that's when we set the practices up, so that, you have the media practice, the creative practice, and so on. And someone running each of those practices, that was my exec team.
Yeah.
And so we were really close, and we that was a really good, I hope they'd all agree, the people that were in that team. We were in it together.
I was going to say that resilience.
And things started to turn around and go really well.
And then you went to Accenture Song.
Yes. So then I'd done best part of 5 years at Publicis Group. So back to my 4-year fix, grow, enjoy, like what now thing. Was having similar thoughts. And the way Publicis is structured, what would have been next kind of thing. Meanwhile, I met David, who I'd met years ago in Cannes at something. But
Droga.
David Droga, and I hadn't seen him for years and years. So he was looking for someone to run the global marketing practice for him at Accenture Song. And again, I've always been this sounds like an obvious thing to say, but very thoughtful about who I work for. I'm very conscious of who I work for.
Yeah.
I need to enjoy their company. I need to respect and regard them. I need to think they're really, really good at their job. And along comes David Droga, who's I don't want to like suck up too much.
Blow smoke up his arse.
He's the best, he's the best living, I think most people would agree, the best living creative person from our industry.
Yeah.
We're almost exactly the same age. And he asked me to go work for him. And it was a bit of a like,
how can you say no?
If I don't do this, then I'm never going to, and also the appeal of going to work for Song, which is part of Accenture, which is a huge technology savvy on it.
Yeah.
70 billion-ish, 700,000-ish people company. It's gigantic.
And you did like big. So that
it was the biggest. I mean, how much bigger is that? Like in revenue and headcount and geography and everything than all the other holding companies. And so it was part of that.
Very different step.
This thing's huge, and I'd never done a global job, so that was also appealing.
Yeah.
How I'm always interested in that. Accenture, we know a number of people who work there. Is it like being in an agency holding group, and that's what you do? How much did the Accenture wider business and the sort of advertising business interact?
A lot, actually. It's quite different. The scale is... Yeah. I said to someone very senior when I first got there, how long is it going to take me to actually understand how this all works and who everyone is? And he said, never.
Yeah.
So
don't even try.
In a year, you'll get it enough. It'll take that long because it's so gigantic. But the way we used to describe it is Accenture's broadly made up of 4 things: consulting, technology, operations, and Song. So Song is about a quarter of the whole business. And then Song is made up of 4 things, which is marketing, which is what I did, commerce, sales and service, and design and digital products. So you've got the 4 and the 4. And then the way to think about it is that together we're like a stage performance. So Song is on the stage performing to the audience, and Accenture, the other 3 bits of Accenture, are the can't live without backstage talent, making sure that the production works
behind the scenes,
and that everything happens. And so that was it's quite a helpful way to think about how the whole thing comes together. So it's very different from holding company. The size of the client relationships is eye-watering.
Deep, very deep. I would have thought, into their
and
organisations.
Accenture pretty much works with every client on the planet.
For as a cross-sell,
shape or
upsell partnership point of view, it makes total sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, and also their model is very, very based on partnering with expert companies for the greater good of both companies. So the Accenture Adobe relationship or the Accenture Salesforce relationship is incredibly productive, big business relationships.
Yeah.
So they're very, very good at partnering to deliver to clients.
Did you? I was just reading. What do you think about the rumour that Accenture Song might buy part of Dentsu?
Oh, I don't know. Can't comment.
Can't comment.
I genuinely don't know.
No. Because that would be an interesting part. Because I think it's obviously Kamarama, Droga 5. Like there's maybe some more acquisition will happen. I don't know, but it's just
they'll be in the mix. I'm sure.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And then just I really want to ask you though. So in terms of saying yes, in your head, who did you say yes to first, Artur or David? As in, say yes to this role. I'm just thinking in terms of you were just sat at that breakfast with Artur and he wants you to say yes. Then David said, come and work for me. Which was the one that you would...
Which were you quickest to?
Oh,
say
I
yes
see.
to in your head?
They were both pretty quick, actually. I mean, Stevie Spring once told me off for saying that I was lucky and reminded me that you create your own luck.
Yeah.
But I did create my own luck because I worked hard and got to a point where both of those people wanted to employ me at certain points in time.
Yeah.
But they were both kind of so compelling at the time based on where I'd been and where I wanted to go.
It felt
that
right.
I kind of said yes in my head straight away.
Yeah.
But in both instances, I was long in the tooth enough to know to say, let me go away and think about that and negotiate.
But Stevie would be proud of that bit.
Stevie would be proud of that bit because, I mean, I did work very hard to get to those points, but I do consider myself quite lucky to have been asked to work for such accomplished and interesting and different people.
Amazing.
Just quickly going back to your 4-year, let's call it 4-year cycle of interests. Steve King said the same about like you can stay in an organisation a long time, but just keep making sure you sort of keep fresh and find roles. Is that like was that just a symptom of you enjoyed that earlier part more than the sort of carrying on bit, or
I enjoy all of it.
That?
I enjoy all of it, but the sort of the challenge comes from
you're more driven by
having to fix some things.
Yeah,
I'm very happy to then enjoy watching the fruits of and being part of the fruits of that.
Yeah,
coming true, and then keeping it up is also a different flavour of leadership. And the trick is to try and keep it up for as long as possible, and many people do a really good job of that. And we did that at Ogilvy for many years in the various different roles and guises. But I'm a bit sort of like, can I have the next challenge now, please?
Yeah, which is
and it's something else I've heard you say, and we hear it on this podcast a lot. Actually, you can't do anything without hard work. So you're a grafter. You get your sleeves rolled up. You like that challenge. You stuck it, and you're quoted to say, "Hard work and other people got me where I am today."
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Who you've mentioned Stevie Spring. You've obviously mentioned David and Artur. In terms of like driving you and mentors and getting to you where you are there any particular people that you would say have influenced?
There's two people. One is a lady called Amy Rubenstein, who was my boss in New York and taught me a lot. She's a hardcore, warm-hearted, gorgeous, wonderful New Yorker who doesn't mince her words and just gave me really good, hard feedback when I first got there, and taught me things like, sounds silly, but like how to write a deck. Like I was wafting around, like just pages of, and she made me go to her. She didn't make me. She invited me to go to her apartment one weekend. Her husband and kids are there, and she's like, "Right, it's a 9-box grid." She gets a piece of whatever they call A4. It's not A4, and divides it into 9, and goes, "If you can't tell a story in 9 boxes, then you shouldn't be doing it." Because we were quite merged. We had strategists at Wonderman New York, but we were also expected to be strategic account people, which was great. But I had not had that training. I had not had that experience in London. And so she taught me the 9-box grid, and the 9-box grid has come with me, and I've shared that with hundreds of other people. Because if you can't plot the story out in the 9 boxes, then someone else should write the deck.
Yeah. And there's obviously beginning, a middle, and an end. What's in between?
Yeah, exactly. But she also taught me to be more confident, to be brave, to keep going. She would go up the client food chain. She'd just keep going until someone said no, and often they didn't. I'll never forget her coming back from a Citibank meeting, which was a big client for us at the time, and saying, "Oh shit, I've got a meeting with the CEO." And us, her team, going, "How come?" And she went, "Well, I asked for it." And we're like, don't worry, we'll make sure that you've got good stuff to say. Get me a 9-box grid, someone. But, that whole, you don't have to wallow. You don't have to just deal with junior clients. Junior clients are very important, but you can build relationships up the food chain. And just the whole New Yorker thing and the American thing, everything's 5 times bigger.
Should be a goal, shouldn't it, to get up that food chain? I mean, I think that's sort of the lost art of being able to have those bigger conversations.
Yeah, and I always tried to do that after that time, and hopefully have sort of shared that.
I've got visions of
people.
the pitch walls in rooms with 300 pieces of paper, all stuck in rows, and then someone coming and going, no.
Tell the story in 9 boxes. But I think it's interesting when you say get to the top, because actually those people at the top, they want to have the conversations, because the thing is the further you go up, the further you get away from the work, and actually. Those people actually still want to be involved.
Incredibly productive. It often usually is very productive to go as senior as you possibly can, as long as you've got something worth saying. I mean, it's not just
you've got to have a point of view.
FaceTime.
Yeah, and
you've got to have something to say, maybe something to ask.
Yeah.
So Amy was a massive influence on me as part of the New York thing, and then Paul O'Donnell, who was my boss one way or another, Ogilvy all the way through. He was one of 2 people who hired me. Sometimes at Ogilvy, because it was a 10-company agency group, you could sometimes have 2 bosses in a well-managed way, and Paul was always one of them, and sometimes he was my only boss. And he taught me many things. We like quite a lot of the same things, food, wine, clothes, travel, all that kind of thing, but we're quite different people. And that worked really, really well over the years. And he taught me so many things. He taught me, I would run into his office in the early years with my hair on fire about some crisis that was the end of the world on American Express, and come out with tears of laughter streaming down my face. And so
that's an art,
that's a massive thing that he taught me, to find even when it's really bad and dark, to find your sense of humour.
Yeah, we said that, laugh in the face of adversity.
You've just got to, and that's the thing. And I know it's really tough out there at the moment for a lot of people in the industry. And so me saying that might get an eye roll. But if you can find something to laugh about, then, it really, really helps.
Yeah, again, it's that human piece. Again, like being in this together, like you're not on your own. That's the other thing, is, look, we can have a laugh about this. I always used to say to my teams, look, we're not surgeons. There's no one lay on a table in front of us. I mean, can you imagine the pressure of that? But again, we take it all very seriously, and it does feel like it's life or death. But actually, let's just take a beat. Let's have a bit of a laugh, and look, then you'll get the resilience to then, right, okay, how are we going to face this? Because when you're on the floor, it's quite difficult to do that sometimes.
How was you sounded quite close with your bosses, but how do you, what's your advice about managing bosses? If you're sort of, we talk a lot about, to be fair, and rightly so, we talk a lot about how leaders manage their teams. But I mean, often it's the upward relationship.
Well, I think consciously managing your boss is a really important thing. And I don't mean that I don't want any of them to feel manipulated.
They're being managed.
How you communicate with them, what you tell them when about how things are going is really, really important. And I think sometimes we just crack on and we just keep going. And, the boss is busy, we're busy, don't want to trouble them. So you don't communicate. And that's a mistake, because they need to know.
Fall out of sync a bit with them.
Yeah. And, if you're in it together and they're your boss, and, you're one of their people that's going to help them do well as well,
Yeah.
then they should know what's going on. It doesn't mean that you email them every day a very long email. Paul also taught me that he doesn't read long emails.
Yeah.
And
I'm definitely like that.
Yeah.
I've got to say.
Well,
we got to the point after 17 years where it was almost an unwritten or an unstated thing where we would write shortest emails to each other.
Who could do the shortest?
It was like, who can use the least syllables and the least words and still make their point? Which was also a factor of working together
knew each
for so
other,
long.
didn't you? Yeah.
But so working out how to keep them abreast of what's going on and then going to them when you need help.
Yeah.
Again, I think sometimes people don't want to look like they can't handle something or they're weak or whatever. And sometimes it's okay to just say, I don't know how to deal with this situation because I've never done it before, or some
I think that needs a good
contextual
boss.
thing.
I mean, there are people who would judge you for that if you keep coming.
There
if
are.
you come and
Yeah,
sort of
there
go,
are.
I'm not sure what to do.
And you've got to work out what the frequency is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm talking, with
big,
some of my bosses I've talked about on here, fortnightly or monthly, not like, today's
popping in
news.
every day,
But also, it's like Nick Beaton, who was on here, ex-CEO of ASOS. He said, look, people always want to tell you what's going right. He said, I want to hear what's going wrong.
Exactly.
Because you can't fix what's going wrong
And they
unless
want
you
to help.
know about it. Yeah,
And the same with me. I want people to tell
Yeah.
me. I want them to try and fix things.
Yes.
And then if they can't or they don't really know how to or they're worried, I'd much rather they told
Yeah.
me so that perhaps I can help them
Yeah.
fix it. Or, sometimes it only takes 5 minutes of conversation to go, well, if you thought of this,
Yeah.
and, the light bulb goes and off
Yeah.
you go as a person with a boss or off they go as a
Yeah,
person who you're the
exactly.
boss of and everything's all right.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that leads into, go on.
Well,
one of our favourite questions.
Yeah, so our regular question, and also we've heard, obviously, there's probably people listening thinking, well, this has been a career where you've been approached by these titans of industry and saying, come and work for me. It can't all have been plain sailing, so we like to ask our guests every week
Certainly
what their
wasn't.
biggest fuck up is. There's probably more than one, but is there something that stands out for you that you look back on and it gives you that sort of sinking feeling in the stomach?
Well, other than early work going out with spelling mistakes in it, which only happens, only happens once, which I think most people do. I think really it was about doing some bad pitches early on, and sort of continuing to do them in the same way and wondering why we didn't win, and coming second too many times,
awful.
which is the worst.
Yeah,
Paul used to say to me,
Come first or
win or
last,
fail quickly.
Yeah.
And after not winning, I think it was called Digital UK back in the day.
Yeah.
It was like, right, enough, because this is crap. And we went out with a camera and we videoed the woman who just placed a second. She was lovely. She was called Jane something. And she told us to camera why we didn't win.
Right.
We videoed AAR, I think, maybe the Oyster Catchers at the time. What do you think of us? We went to a couple of other agencies and we spliced this film together. It's making me squirm just thinking about it.
I'm thinking about it.
But we did it. We were brave enough to do it. Mike Dodds led the charge on this, and we spliced a sort of 5-minute together on what people thought of us. And they thought we were clever and nice and, intelligent and all the rest of it, and creative and all good and boring.
Right.
Boring. That was the word.
Really boring.
And it was all, we're like, oh my God, we're boring. But upon realisation that we were acting like boring people, long, turgid presentations with all of the answers, all of the details.
Yeah, we want to work with you as a team, not be just told.
Expert people in the room that didn't have anything to add personality-wise or no chemistry between the team, all that stuff. And so then along came the British Gas pitch of 2007, and we forced ourselves to watch that bloody film every day in our war room and behave differently. But when we behaved differently and we smashed it.
And I suppose it's just allowing yourselves to have personality.
Personality and doing the things that allow you to show your personality in the room. And things like, the smaller the team, the better, because then you can, you can perform better with each other and it looks more confident to clients. Giving someone a break who hasn't done it before with those of you who have done it before. rehearsals. I'm obsessed with rehearsing because you get faster as you rehearse. You lose all the extraneous words. You get more comfortable with what you're saying.
You know, it's what people are saying as a team.
You can
know
chuck a few jokes in and you just relax more. Anyway, so that was probably it, was going from being incredibly bad at new business and really not enjoying it to then having a big turnaround on that front.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's quite hard when you do that, when you bounce from, the only difficulty is when you bounce from, oh, we're boring, and then you swing too much the other way. And
we tempered we were Ogilvy after all. We weren't about to start, you know, we still had a sort of...
you had a sort of...
We had ourselves under control, but we just did things very differently and happily. Amanda Mackenzie was the boss at British Gas. We'd worked with her before, that helped. And we won, and the industry was all in shock that we'd beaten all the others, and then that's when it all began.
Patch. Yeah, amazing. I didn't look at what time we started this. It feels like we've I'm not sure how long we've got left here, but can I because again you've given so great advice away. Is there anything, because we call it a magpie moment, is there a moment that you've seen somebody do something in a certain way, or a work hack, or a saying, or a thought that you just thought, that's really super smart, I'm going to steal that with pride and take it away as a little magpie?
Yeah, I mean, I've shared some of them with you already. I think, watching Shelley Lazarus at work with clients was a lesson that I wish everyone could have. The way she treated them as, friends is the wrong word because, they're clients, but the relationships.
Well, human beings versus.
Yeah, exactly. That was really big. I think I had magpie moments a lot with Amy, with Paul in particular. Miles Young I haven't mentioned either. He succeeded Shelley Lazarus as the global CEO. Very different from her. Very high standards. But learned a lot from him about, what you can take to a client over and above the brief, which was good training for going to Publicis. There's probably thousands of them. But, the 9-box grid's definitely one of them.
Can I ask you, how would the 9-box grid, because I know you've spoken about AI as well, because how do you then orchestrate a pitch? Because obviously it's all about the pitch, isn't it? And you've got the 9-box. And then with AI, would you say, look, so I've got these clients in the room, these are their personalities. How would you then bring AI into that 9-box grid?
Well, I think the 9-box grid, God, we're talking about that a lot, aren't we? But I think the point of the 9-box grid is that's the arc of the story.
Yeah.
Whether it's a meeting where you're trying to sell a client a strategy or whether it's a pitch about something huge, is the arc of the story. So I think it just is.
Yeah.
How you bring that story to life in today's world with various AI options at your fingertips has to fit into the arc of the story. Yeah. Right? I think there are many tools that we can use. Yeah. Make a big difference to how you get to an answer and how you can share the answer, how you can present the answer, but you've still got to come up with the answer.
Yeah, it's all the prompting. It's what
the day when the AI takes over the 9-box grid, we should all go home.
Good, that's good. I love that.
But it is important, like now there is so much change going on. So if you're talking to sort of, and I'm sure you do a lot of mentoring, when you're talking to sort of younger professionals now, what's your advice about how to navigate, what is a pretty crazy time? I think we all love the unprecedented term, but it's getting there as a moment in time. What would your advice be for how to navigate a career at the moment?
I think, it's about learning as much as you possibly can. I think this is going to be a bit unpopular, but I think spending time in the office with your colleagues and people that you can learn from. Now, as there's all this change, being with people, I would have been in a very different place if I hadn't been in office environments learning from
learn
people.
Through osmosis almost, don't you?
Yeah, bumping into people, and all the rest of it. I think it will all work itself out. It may take longer than it has in other moments in our history when we've been disrupted. I don't know what the outcome's going to be, but there will be an advertising industry and it will thrive. I don't know when and how that's going to work, but don't give up on it. It's still about making great work. It's still about doing bold things. It's still about trying to do things first, whether that's a media first or a creative first or all of the above. It's still about all those things. It's just that there's a lot more at the fingertips now to, in terms of how you get there or how the company gets there. So it's tough.
I mean, the John Lewis ad got a lot of, that got a reaction. That's a very human ad.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing like Christmas ads in the UK to remind us whether you like them all or not. And we're all entitled to our opinions. But there's nothing like that to remind us that, this is actually a really creative, interesting, fun industry to work in that's going through seismic change right now because of all sorts of different things. AI, the overused 2 letters.
I know.
But, that has definitely got a role to play in all this. We've got acquisitions going on. We've got, results not being, with one notable exception, not being great. So it's really, really tough. But look at the history of the industry. It's cyclical.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is a bit of a cycle. Yeah. And it will have a different shape in a period of time later.
But that's the benefit of experience, isn't it? That's why part of the reason we wanted to do this podcast is that actually we've all kind of been there and seen that. We've, 2008, we've come through tough times. I think it is a slightly different place that we live in now, but it's like some things still endure. Still people like TV. People still watch TV and they love the Christmas ads. It's not all gone to
and have
pot.
something to say about the Christmas ads as well. I mean, right? It's what everyone's talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And because we are going to be running out of time, but just to come to Annette, like from outside of the office, and incredibly, I mean, the career that you have and the pressure that I think you'd like to put yourself under. How do you then relax or reconnect with yourself, or is there any kind of tips that you just help you get through the stresses of kind of day-to-day life?
Yeah, well, I've always done a little bit of extracurricular something along the way. I sat on the London First Board for 3 or 4 years in about 2010. I did stuff with WACL in the early days. I've done stuff with the Ad Association. I'm no longer the chair. I did my 3-year term, but just
corrected.
Still love them and do stuff with them, but I'm not the chair anymore. But things like that. I chaired the Creative Industries Trade and Investment Board. And I did those things because I'm genuinely interested, but I also found it very helpful to go and do something that was important, but not my job, not my day job. Yeah. Where you have to get in the zone because you're the chair of a board that's doing whatever it's doing, or you're a board member of London First or whatever it might have been. And so you sort of have to disconnect from the job for the hour or the 2 hours, however long you're in the room, and do that and try and contribute to that. And then you come out and your head is always clearer about the day job. Yeah, because you have done something which has made you disconnect from it. Then, I mean, for me, and everybody has their different reasons for maybe getting home on time, but mine was when I had children. When I had my first child, I was like, okay, I said to Mike, right, I'm working from home on Mondays and I am leaving at 5:30 every day. I will do what needs to be done and I will get it all done, but that's what I'm going to do. And he was like, okay, great. And this was before there was lots of flexi working and what have you. And I did it, and I was very proud of doing it and set an example to other people to do it. And so they helped me. I used to stay at work until I'd finished. Whatever time that was.
Of course, and that could be 10 o'clock at night.
Whatever time.
Well, there was never really an off switch. It was just,
a problem. Okay, or it was like, I'm hungry, I've got to get whatever. Yeah. And then when I had children, I did really put these rules in place for myself and live by them reasonably well. Not always.
And I'm sure you got back on the.
I got back on after he'd gone to bed. If I had to.
That's how it.
But again, you take that punctuation of the journey home, which for me at the time was from Canary Wharf to West London, so it was a long journey. filled with client phone calls and all the rest of it. I was driving, hands-free, obviously. Sometimes you get home and you realise, actually, I don't need to do any more tonight.
No, I've done
because it isn't urgent.
I've already worked a 12-hour day.
And I just worked in the car on the way home.
Yeah.
So I did calls on the way in the morning. So
think of those days when no computer, no laptops, no phones, and we just went home and
exactly.
Yeah. Or the pub.
Funny, isn't
That's
it?
the problem.
Or
We'd
the
used to walk across
Friday
the road.
afternoon
Maybe to the pub.
Yeah.
Fax machines. Are there any faxes for me?
No faxes. I really do think we are now.
Yeah, thank you very much.
But no, can we, because I don't know, hopefully you have enjoyed, I guess, in our little cocoon of our studio.
It's been great.
It's just really nice and really brilliant to hear your story. But I suppose the reflective part of it is if you look back at your younger self, would you have done anything differently? Or would you have done it all the same? Or with the benefit of hindsight, would you say, do you know what, I might have changed this?
No. I didn't plan any of it, but I worked really hard. I was clear on the types of people I wanted to work for, the types of companies I wanted to work at, the kind of work I wanted to do. And I did create my own luck. When I was at a point anywhere where if you're not happy in where you are, or you could be happier and you can't change it, then leave.
Yeah.
Go find another job.
Yeah.
And so I lived that. So I'm quite pleased with how that all worked
quite
out.
clear view.
If I could have one parallel what if, which I wouldn't really make into a regret, what if I had started an agency?
Okay.
Is the only thing. I think you can't have had a big career in this industry and not ask yourself that question. I wouldn't go back and do it. I nearly did it once. I've actually got some people around for dinner tonight.
Just think of
I
all that.
nearly did it with.
Oh,
actually.
really?
Yeah. Yeah, and then I was the one who chickened out. I was too
Just think of all that
risk-averse.
invoicing you'd have had.
All the
this is
invoicing.
it.
I know, but at least I knew how to do it. But that would have been just, and I know lots of the great people who've started agencies in this business, and you sort of look at them and go, I could have given that a go. But it's not a regret. It's just a what
could
if.
have been another route. Yeah.
And look, what a fantastic career you've got, and you still have. And amazing, honestly.
very much.
That time's just gone so quickly.
Yeah, I
know,
had no idea how long that was.
I know, we could too. Thank you so much, Annette.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
So that's all we've got time for.
Oh.
I hope you enjoyed the conversation. We certainly did. Please subscribe to Mentor, and we'd love you to share this with someone else who might not have heard of us.
Yeah, or navigating their own leadership path. And if you need a little bit more wisdom in your business, be sure to come to TheZoo.London for exec search and consulting support.
We love to hear about your mentors. All our socials are in the link, so please get in touch with us and tell us who your favourite mentor's been.
And Mentor is a Viral Tribe entertainment production. And as I said, please don't forget to give us a follow. Share this with someone.
I think we've said that a few times.
Yeah, we're going to say it again.
That's good.
And join us next time for more Pearls of Wisdom from Mentor.